Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. And in today's episode of Living Your Best Life, we're going to be focusing on how to trust the process. And by that I mean trusting the process of life, and how can we as individuals each and every day maximize the potential that each day can bring or brings to us, because everything is energy and energy is everything. And since we are energetic beings and we belong in a universe that is full of electrons, protons, neutrons, energy is always at play. So there is always potential. This is a number one rule from physics. Energy always has potential and it can transform, transmute, but the potential of that energy is always there. And how can we harvest the potential of each minute of every single day to the highest of our good, so we can have the most beautiful of experience in life, no matter what is handed to us or what is not handed to us, what we feel is in quote unquote lack from us, all of the challenges, everything, all the no's that you're receiving, the silence that you're receiving, the closed doors that you're falling on into, the challenges with your perhaps family members or children or co-workers, supervisors, all of the above, or even challenges within your own self, your self-talk, anxiety coming in. What else? Like, there's just so many things. I wrote this down. Like, we can tie ourselves up with our thoughts and the beliefs and the stories that we absorbed as children. And literally every single day, we are fighting against the nature of who we are or who we have become as a result of our past environments. All these years, there's no one to blame here for our past environments. I am a full believer that the soul has free will, and I have completely chosen the life path that I wanted to embark on, the soulmates that I wanted to experience life with, and whether that soulmate was supposed to be in my life for a day, for a month, for a year, for the rest of my life, I don't know. I trust the process, but I know that I chose my parents, I chose my siblings, I chose all of my traumas. Because honestly, like, if I didn't experience everything that I experienced, so on the adverse childhood evaluation sheet that we had to do in school, if I wasn't an 8 out of 10, I wouldn't be able to be a testament as a counselor now that therapy does work, and we can give ourselves a corrective experience, and we can, like, literally stop the recapitulation of our past and create a beautiful new future for ourselves, no matter what has taken place in our life. I wouldn't have been able to understand this resilience had I not had the adverse childhood experiences that I did as a child. So now I will never look at them as something that was a detriment to me, or it was I was a victim. Of course, it feels challenging, and the fact that there is fear every day that I didn't even realize was happening. But what happens is, if we don't understand our core beliefs and or our attachment style that we absorbed as children, if we don't understand what that is, we're definitely going to feel it from our outside world, right? This is how we know, if by the discomforts that we feel, the thorns that we feel, the unhappiness that we feel, the suffering that we feel, that's when we know that something within us is not in alignment with who our true self is supposed to be and or experience this life, or who God wants us to be and experience this life, which is like its unlimited potential and all of the joy and happiness that it has to offer. So once I understood that my core belief system was creating my energetic field, which was the point of attraction for the experiences that were coming into my life as an adult, is only when I was able to take full control of my life and really reprogram myself. So then I was not recapitulating the traumas of my childhood anymore. Now I am thriving in experiences that I have been able to gift to myself, with myself as an adult, via the power of counseling therapeutic tools such as narrative therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, positive affirmations, using emotional freedom techniques such as tapping to release stored stories that are in our bodies, that now we know that sometimes if we have experienced a lot of trauma in our childhood, it is not enough just to work with the mental part of ourselves. It is most helpful to also work with the physical aspect of ourselves, because the vagus nerve, which runs from here all the way down, is connected to our brain, and there is a big highway of information that is being exchanged. So even though the mind, we can like trick it to feel safe with affirmations, which eventually tricking means fake it till you make it, and then through the power of neuroplasticity, we create new neurological pathways that say different things than our past conditioning. So I can show you a little bit of like what my bag of past conditioning that I used to carry. So the fear of me experiencing myself each and every single day that I woke up, right, for 38 years, I think it was, yeah, because I was turning 40 and I was like, I can't live life anymore waking up every morning and fearing that my life experiences are going to reflect my past core beliefs that I am needy, I'm not good enough, I'm bound to be abandoned, I'm unlovable, I am unlikable, I am unwanted, I am unworthy, I am not good enough to be loved by others, it is not safe to be me, I am bound to be rejected, I am bound to be alone. Like, who wants to live life this way? But that was the messaging that I received as a child, along with being a people pleaser, along with having no boundaries, along with having a negative self-view of self and a positive self-view of others, because I had acquired a anxious attachment style, which is the only one of the attachment styles that has a negative self-view of self, which means your self-confidence is here and then you think everyone else is better than you. So you're constantly like looking up at people, like wishing and hoping that you could be one of them, and you're not realizing that you actually are one of them. Like, we're all one, we're all the same. I guess I should probably introduce myself. Anna Morfides, Mending Hearts Counseling, now a full professional counselor and life skills coach, and I am here sharing information that I've learned through my career in school, acquiring a bachelor's degree, major biology, minor psychology, and now as a professional therapeutic counselor, soon to be registered. That has literally helped me go from a state of suffering into a state of thriving, not surviving, but thriving, and really being able to play the game of life in my favor, because it kind of is like a game. It's like we like live in this simulation, like this, it's like this crazy dream that like we have full control over, but we didn't really know that we had full control over until, you know, until I went back to school. Actually, no, this is before I even went back to school. I wanted to find answers, and I wanted to like live my life differently. So now we know that part of the human development curriculum tells us that as a person approaches the age of 40, they start to reevaluate their life and see if they're living in alignment with who their soul wants to be, which is totally fine and normal. So let's get into it. How do we make sure that we live each and every single day of our lives to its fullest potential, so then we can harvest that energetic potential? And on the David Hawkins diagram of human consciousness, because the law of attraction is always at play, because everything is energy and energy is everything, we are always going to predominantly be landing in one of these consciousness levels. And the consciousness levels are depicted by the thoughts that we have. So we learn from cognitive behavioral therapy that thoughts create our emotions, and then our emotions are the ones that drive our behaviors. So 95% of our thoughts are unconscious. So if we pay attention to how the world makes us feel, we can really get an understanding of what our unconscious thoughts are. It sounds simple. It's not very simple. It requires you to sit down with yourself and be quiet with yourself and journal things out. But even if you start with 1 minute a day or 5 minutes a day to see what it is that you are predominantly feeling, because the law of attraction is always at play and everything is always by assertion, not by force. So literally, we can control which level we want to be in of our human consciousness by controlling our thoughts. And then that frequency that we land in will produce a certain life view. And you can pause this and take a look at each one of these. Like, I started off in guilt and shame, so my life view was pretty miserable. Now I would say that I am predominantly at peace. So my frequency is about 600. My predominant emotion is bliss, and my life view is perfect. Not that my life is perfect, but I try every day to view my life as perfect, because I now know that I have the power to exercise that choice. I can continue to wake up each and every single day saying, why is this happening to me? And be in a state of misery and feel the lacks in my life. Or I can wake up every single day, which I do, and thank God for another day of being alive. And then I say, like, thank you for the wonderful news that I'm receiving today. And then I say my gratitude about having another day and like getting to have teenagers and getting to do dishes, all the things that bother me. I give them so much thanks. And then if there's, quote unquote, lack in my life, I go about my day as if I don't even have that lack, because the emotion that would embody myself as having, say, my dream job or my dream car or like my dream person, whatever that is, we now know that like it serves us best to embody the energy of that person, of whatever it is that you want to experience. That if you're thinking about your children and their future, like, you are a parent and you embody the emotions of a parent who their kids are like so successful and so confident and have everything and they're so safe and they get to live until they're 120. And this is about every experience in your life. It's your choice how you want to look at it. So when we wake up each and every day thanking God, drinking water, having positive thoughts, thanking ourselves for yet another day, thanking the potential of the energy of the world, thanking the rain, because a lot of people complain about the weather, but like, what about if we thank the rain about all the watering that it does for our Mother Earth? Or how about if we thank the snow for all the snowmen that it allows for children to build and have fun, or snowballs that we can throw? Like, we have a choice to look at everything in a positive way. So that's our superpower, because as humans, we are wired to be below the line. And that's why Buddha says, if you can be happy 50% of the time, you're winning in the game of life. Remember our 5 predominant emotions: fear, anger, disgust, sadness, and joy. By probability, we're going to be landing into these right through our experience in an everyday life. Through the law of probability, we're going to be landing into these instead of landing into joy. Therefore, it is constant work to transmute ourselves out of fear, anger, sadness, disgust, right back into joy. But it takes the same amount of work, really, to stay and combat the anger or transmute the anger. So why not choose to harvest, again, that potential of energy into something that's more serving than staying in the energy of, like, saying, for example, of being mad? Because everything is happening for us. Everything is working out for our highest good. Thank you to Louise Hay that always teaches us this. So if you find yourself in a pickle, always say, everything is always working out for me. Everything is happening for my highest good. Only good is going to come out of the situation. And I remember like there was this person that was interviewing her, Louise Hay, and he was like, well, but Louise, what if I really don't believe that everything's going to be okay? And then she just reminds you again, like, well, it's a choice that you're making. Like, why are you choosing to not believe that everything's going to be okay? Why are you choosing to believe that, she always says there's no problems, only solutions. This is another big one that I carry. There are no problems, only solutions. And I try to like really instill that with my kids. There are no problems, there are only solutions. Like, why are we choosing to think this way? And then if we think that something's not happening for our highest good, I would recommend, I'll never forget this. When I worked at McDonald's, they had 2 rules. Rule number 1, the customer is always right. Rule number 2, if you think the customer is not right, go back to rule number 1, okay? So this is going to be our rules for life. Rule number 1, it's always happening for you. It's always working out for you. It's always happening for your highest good. Rule number 2, if you think that is happening to you and you're victim and it's not supposed to be there, go back to rule number 1, because Creator does not make any mistakes. He wouldn't plant anything in our lives if it wasn't meant to be there. I fully, truly, 1,000% believe this now, because why do I truly believe that? Well, because it allows me to stay in that state of like peace and joy and love and like enlightenment. Like, why would I question creation? Because if I challenge that and start to go back into that victim mentality, I'm gonna go into like anger and fear and like apathy and right? Because I'm not accepting what is. Even going into the conscious level of acceptance, like, look how much better that is than being like angry about what's happening in your life and or fearful. This is what happens when we truly know that everything is happening for us, for our highest good. The most challenging of things is there to propel you to become the best version of yourself, for your soul's growth, to shed unhelpful core beliefs, to create security within yourself, to go from like the avoidant and or disorganized and or anxious attachment style back into a secure attachment style. But I know it's very challenging to feel secure that everything is happening for you when past experiences resemble a childhood and or adult experiences such as mine. Because I actually truly haven't had a chance to feel super secure in my nervous system yet about who I have been in life and who life has been to me. I'm starting to, but I've been so grateful to have had the support of like endless people in my schooling career, because now we are all like, we were like professionals, counselors to be. So we had a lot of skills to be able to help each other. But what happens when you don't have that, right? So like, I feel like this is why, I don't know, maybe a channel like this would be fantastical, because you don't need to go to school. Like, I'm just like sharing all the information that I learned in school. So then we can like truly start to live our best life and know like the tricks and the hacks of life, and on like how to truly be and trust the process. But again, it's hard to trust the process when you've never had a chance to trust life and what it has gifted your body so far, right? Like, I've experienced a lot of trauma in my life, like physical abuse, name calling, sexual abuse as a kid. Like, this body has been through a lot. And now we know like the body keeps a score. So it makes sense to me why my nervous system like braces for the worst thing to happen. And then it fights, like literally, it fights against the nature of who I have been. But with tools such as gratitude, positivity, knowing that everything is always happening for me, I'm able to shift out of that, and I'm able to give myself a corrective experience that slowly has my brain like rewired the way I look at life. Now I know it's truly happening for me. And that had to connect to my body, so then the two can merge. And the way that I have been able to have my body catch up to my brain, that everything is always happening for me, is through tapping. So I've done some EMDR, which also involves tapping. EMDR, it's the eye movement desensitization technique, which by tapping on either side of the body, it allows the left and the right hemisphere to integrate the new information quicker. And the new information being essentially that it is safe to be you, or you are lovable, or you are worthy. You're just tapping in things that you haven't experienced before. So then through the power of neuroplasticity, you can also integrate those into your body. So then paired with the affirmations and all the cognitive behavioral therapy work that we do in our mind, pair those two together, it's an unstoppable force of completely rewiring ourselves from top to bottom. So therefore, deep down on a cellular level, the messaging and the chemicals that are going to be released in our by our neurotransmitters, right? Because when a neuron fires a signal, it releases neurotransmitters which have chemicals inside, such as like cortisol and or epinephrine, dopamine, oxytocin. So there's feel-good chemicals and not feel-good chemicals. So when we really provide that safety using techniques such as EFT, emotional freedom technique, which I really want to get registered in. I'm actually gonna link the person I follow on Instagram, and they're a certified professional, and I swear they've been a blessing for me to release what's been stored in my body, along with EMDR that I have done in my school, along with my teachers, because they're professionals and they are registered in this. And yeah, and a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy, a lot of narrative therapy, like rewriting my story of every minute of every day. Yes, I think I feel like I've hit all the points. And thank you to the beautiful soul that suggested that I do this today, because I was running a bit out of ideas on what to make a video on. But this was exactly what I also needed to hear today, because I did wake up with a sense of melancholy today. And like, I did have a tendency to, go back down that route and start to fear my past recapitulating itself again. But like, I truly have to have trust in the process, and like truly live my life as a person who has everything that my heart has ever desired, and I am no longer in lack in anything. And even though I might feel lack in my 3D reality, like in my physical world, that doesn't necessarily mean that I can't embody the person that already has that. Because my understanding now is, if I become this version of self that already has all her dreams come true, and has no anxiety and has no doubts, and it knows it is safe to be her, and she's worthy of everything, and doesn't people please, and keeps up her boundaries, like, then I know that life will eventually catch up to meet me where I'm at, instead of me waiting for physical evidence to show itself first and then for me to believe. That is the true essence of trusting the process. Trusting that you are already there without needing the outside evidence and or validation. That is what it truly means to trust the process. Okay, I'm going to stop my video right here. We're already at 24 minutes. I don't want to make it too long. I know there's a lot of information coming your way. Questions, comments, concerns, I would love to hear from you. And thank you for engaging with me for a minute to 30 minutes, like the whole thing. I am just so grateful for being here in the space and you receiving me. And yeah, just in so much gratitude and so much love for myself, for you, for life, for everything that takes place for us. Remember, everything is happening for us. Everything's happening for a reason. This is our superpower. let's harvest the potential of each and every single day, because as the dearer soul that suggested this video said, the days can be long, or they feel long. Yes, they do. The days do feel long. But we are in full control and full power at any time. Use the power of narrative therapy to rewrite any negative thought, reframe everything, shift it back into positivity. So I received a message today from a person I work with, and they start to express concerns about something that's taking place. Right away, just see what the positive of that is. Don't even allow yourself to go into a negative narrative, because it wouldn't happen if it wasn't meant to be there. So if it wasn't meant to be there, it wouldn't be there, but it's there for your growth. So what is the positive that is meant to come out from this experience? Like, what is the gift? There's always a gift, because creator doesn't make any mistakes, and it's supposed to be there. Okay. With all of my love and gratitude, thank you for allowing me to be here, and I will see you next time. I love you so much.